Alrighty, so thank you everybody for showing up. Basically, I'm Ashkan Karbasfrooshan, CEO and founder of WatchMojo. We launched in 2006 with a vision to inform and entertain with a video on every topic, but who are we kidding? We are known for top 10 lists. As I like to say, we don't have a monopoly on formats. We did not invent the top 10 format. Wayne's World, Dave Letterman, Moses, the OG of top 10 lists himself. People love that. That always works. So yeah, and today basically what we do is we take fans of existing franchises, movies, video games, music, pop culture, and we turn them into super fans. So I've been at this for a long time. That below is actually an email from Steve Chen, co-founder of YouTube, way back. He's probably sitting on an island somewhere, and we're still in the trenches trying to figure out this platform that frankly has given me and my company everything that we have. I've covered this space for quite a long time, and that pyramid you see basically is, representative of content online. When we launched, you had super premium content that was sitting on the sidelines. The Foxes, the ABCs, and the CBCs of the world didn't really have an economic incentive to embrace the web. And then at the bottom, you had user-generated content, which was transforming publishing, but advertisers weren't necessarily going to embrace it. And we kind of figured out that if we create content in a tone, length, and format for audiences that are growing up on the internet and eventually mobile, we could build a business, but it would take time. So in 2006, most of the clips were either pirated or they were UGC, and we kind of focused in that middle area and built a business. And then over time, you had a lot of user-generated content that upped its game, better production equipment, and created this prosumer class, which I think Buffer ultimately serves. When it comes to the internet, there's always the 3 C's: content, commerce, and community. And as much as we think of YouTube as a content play, YouTube really became this dominant platform because it also nailed the community part. To me, YouTube is the most important social network out there, but instead of me sharing a picture of my daughter with my mom, I kind of engage with others who may also be fans of whether it's Seinfeld or Ozzy Osbourne or whatever else that I'm passionate about. And so when we launched, distribution and production was very different. If you wanted to reach an audience, you basically had to think of AOL, Yahoo, and MSN. Today, obviously, that's changed dramatically with Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Netflix. And to me, the turning point really was Live 8, which kind of made me realize, oh wow, AOL is still around, and online video could be a thing. That actually could be a business. And so we've looked online for content and information through different platforms, right? Some of you may even remember eBaum's world, aside from the portals. And I would say when we launched, it was at that third wave. You had YouTube, Gooba, Dailymotion, MetaCafe, and we're moving towards this kind of 24/7 connected landscape where we're literally going to wake up, consume content, get on the subway, continue to watch it, get to the office, and it's creating all this extra time where we can engage with content. WatchMojo was part of the third wave of content producers. And I would call it now, you have like this Empire Strikes Back moment where the traditional guys are realizing that, hey, the future is the present. When we launched, Marvel didn't have a presence on YouTube, so when we did top 10, Marvel franchises, we filled that, gap. Today, Marvel has a channel with 15 million subscribers. They kind of get it, and it creates new opportunities. I won't go into this, but like the reason why Google won, I think ultimately boils down to this perfect storm. I would dumb it down to just timing. I'll share this if anybody's interested, and you guys could kind of go through all the things that explained its success. And I think why YouTube won is it didn't ask for permission, right? That's the key. And that kind of captures the spirit of Buffer. When you think of content, you could kind of play with categories. You could, have different styles, whether it's clip-based, whether it's hosted, formats, and genres. And over the years, YouTube has kind of had a kind of hot it factor kind of programming at various times. We came around and really kind of blew up in 2012 and 14 with lists. And I would say that one of the reasons why YouTube is very different than what it was before is because to me, YouTube is like the Statue of Liberty, right? We'll take, the overlooked, we'll take the people that are kind of disenfranchised by the mainstream. And I think that's one reason why the LGBT community originally found such a safe spot on YouTube, because they were kind of putting up with a lot of crap in real life, and so YouTube gave them that safe haven. And I think that's why, to some extent, YouTube now is going through this like existential crisis. But the flip side of that is, well, creators, most YouTube's, big channels are admittedly gaming or Vivo, music artists. But ultimately, it is the creators, right? I think the creators are the soul of YouTube. But the paradox is, well, if you start producing content and you're 15 and 10 years later you're 25, your subscribers have come to expect something. Because on YouTube, when you subscribe to a channel, you're not subscribing to like the CBC or NBC, you're subscribing to a show. And I think you're seeing this where there's a lot of creators that are kind of growing up on the platform and they want to experiment with different content. A decade later, I think you're seeing it, right? There's a lot of these artists, these creators who are like, well, I don't want to produce what I was producing 8 years ago. I want to be producing something else. You're seeing the rise of documentaries. We're not immune from that. We also produced a documentary this year, Fox in the Hen House. You could check it out if you're interested. And I think so the reason why, as I'm having some trouble with this, the reason why WatchMojo decided to invest in Buffer and partner with Buffer is because I think Buffer recognized that early on, right? Buffer's been doing this for a very long time. It's very impressive that they had the vision. And you're seeing this shift in terms of consumption from like owned and operated web properties to these big platforms. At my old company, Ask Men, we reached 5 million unique viewers and we thought we were a big deal. Today, WatchMojo on YouTube reaches 125 million people a month across our different channels. That's a staggering number, and it just shows the promise of these platforms and how much reach. Also, what's changed is you used to Google and search for content. Now it's through sharing and social. When we look at video, there's basically two different plays. The people that are like, oh, it's all going to be ad-supported or subscription, I don't really think it's either or. There's going to be a play for both spaces. But I think ultimately, YouTube versus Netflix, to me, the more revolutionary platform is YouTube because it has totally changed. It has totally changed the way we consume content, but also how we define quality, right? It's replaced television as the leading consumption platform. The brand equity amongst young audiences is unparalleled. I think it's created this moat where if you're not on YouTube, you probably don't exist, frankly. And the biggest shift, really, the revolutionary and disruptive thing to me was TrueView. To give the power to consumers where they not only watch what they want, but they also decide which advertising they're going to watch. That's revolutionary, right? Because now, advertising has changed forever in that you can't only produce content that people want to watch, but you also have to produce advertising that people want to watch. And the rules are changing, right? If you want to produce a documentary, back in the day, you had to go up to the CBCs of the world, but now all of a sudden, to the Bell funds and the TELUS funds, but now you can actually go direct to your audience, raise funding for your documentary, and really, really stay true to your vision as a producer. And you've heard the saying, the only thing that is constant is change. You see that all the time. And the biggest change to continue to impact storytelling, I feel, is mobile. Jerry Seinfeld, why would I put a show on a big, heavy rectangle in your house when I could put it in your pocket? So mobile's obviously going to continue to eat up all the mind share and the attention span. So as storytellers, you have to start to think of, well, how do I change the way I shoot things and the way I tell stories when people are on the go, especially in a cluttered landscape? Reality is, I think most people on YouTube who have been at it for a while, if you ask them, if you started today, would you go on YouTube? The answer is probably no, not really, it's too cluttered. So storytelling has become more important than ever, and to quote Steve Jobs, the most powerful person in the world is a storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation that is to come. So, we decided to partner because we feel like as much as Buffer's been doing this for a while, and we are doing this for a while, really, like the greatest era for storytelling is yet to come. A lot of people ask me about, hey, you've been on YouTube, you write about content ID and copyright, you talk about demonetization, how frustrating is it to be on YouTube? I'm like, hold on there. If it wasn't for YouTube, I would be running a company of 5 people. The fact that I have a company of 75 employees, full-time creators, on payroll, freelancers 100 plus, is because of YouTube. And I think when you decide to endeavor in an area, you can't take the good without the bad, right? So when you go out there and you try to embrace a platform, you can't be unrealistic. It's like the greatest time ever to be a storyteller. I like to say freedom of expression may be a God-given right, but the freedom to earn a living being a storyteller is a privilege. On that note, I'm going to hand off the mic to Chris Harris of the CBC. Thank you very much.